Time to talk business thanks to our partners Forsyth Barr. Wall Street has steadied on the news. The G7 could agree to release strategic oil reserves later tonight. So how are local markets poised today as the news sinks in? Garth Bray, host of Herald Now Business, is with us. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So yes, we heard from the G7 overnight. There was speculation that they would release, and then they said, we're not going to because we're not there yet.
That's the finance ministers. But much later tonight, our time, the energy ministers are getting together on Zoom or Teams or probably something much more secure involving the, spy agencies or whatever. And the US position, CNBC is reporting, is that they want to release 300 to 400 million barrels of the world's strategic reserves. It's about 25 to 30%, which would be quite a big play. That, I think, given that there's a shortfall of something like 20 million barrels a day at the moment, that's, 4 or 5 weeks worth of supply. I guess just that news of that position has given the indication that the main aggressor in all of this, I suppose the US, which is sort of taking it to Iran, sees an end to this. And that's why I think if you pop up the chart for Brent Crude, you can see that yesterday was hump day, that things went to the moon basically, 120, but now trading under 99. So that's, I guess, the market basically taking stock of that news and saying, look, as a result, you've seen the S&P was trading up slightly in intraday, and it's recovered slightly. It's down about 0.6%. The European stocks 600 that had about continued about 3 days of falls. That was down about 0.6 when it closed. Much better than what we saw at close of play here and in Asian markets. Both of ours and the ASX were down about 3% yesterday. I think we're about 3.11. And Japan's Nikkei down about 5. I think Korea was even higher. It was about 8% drop at one point. All because the news was still very bad at that point. We're still in a phase of crikey, the price is going crazy. It looks like some of that sort of G7 magic has rubbed off. And
even though they didn't do anything, that's the thing.
But it's more the expectation of these energy ministers meeting and
they're talking about
it. That they're likely
and 300 million barrels,
3 to 400 million, I think,
is massive. That's double what they were talking about during the Ukraine days.
Yeah, I guess just sort of showing a sight of where we're going. But, we'll see where it goes. Right. Even our dollar is trading back up. I think we're around about 59.16 last time I looked. It was about 58.70 yesterday. So
very good.
Heading back.
Garth, good time to be talking about renewables this morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice if we'd all planned ahead. So what is the plan about rooftop solar?
Yeah, interesting piece from Kate McNamara in the Herald today, looking at, in the business section, looking about plans to create a ratepayers assistance scheme, which is basically local government, New Zealand and the councils getting together. They do have the handout to central government on this. They'd want sort of, I think, $6 to $7 million of about $35 million and a line of credit to borrow up to 170. But effectively, this would basically supercharge a system that would allow people to borrow on their rates bill to put rooftop solar on, to put batteries in and that kind of thing, and then pay that off over a much extended period of time on their rates bill rather than paying it up front. Effectively, some people would say doing what some retail banks are doing now by offering very low interest loans for renewables and so on, but just moving that around. I mean, there's some other reasons why the councils are trying to push this. They're trying to create some lending capacity there for some of the other things that they're probably not going to be able to afford on their, because of the rates cap. But I guess you've seen some pretty enthusiastic backers from this. I mean, I was chatting to one, Mike Casey, last week from Rewiring Aotearoa, who's saying, look, 25 grand upfront cost, but if you've got enough sun and you've got the right position, you could be $1,000 a year better off, because especially if you can access kind of low finance. And arguably an interesting time to be having this argument, I suppose, or this discussion, given the exposure that we've got to international energy prices. Really.
Absolutely. So just finally, that G7 meeting with the energy ministers you're talking about, that's tonight our time.
But yeah, trying to pin down exact times there are a bit tricky, but I think we're looking forward.
Okay, we'll have an update tomorrow morning. Garth, thank you. As always, Garth Bray, host of Herald Now Business. Thanks to our partners, Forsyth Barr.